I'm donning my foil cap for today's video as I hope to protect myself and shield my brain from threats such as electromagnetic fields being aimed at me, mind control and mind reading. All the kinds of things that I'm sure many associate with the field of hypnosis. And that's a big problem as far as I'm concerned, you know, when as a field we seek to advance and develop, it's such a shame to see so much paranoia and conspiracy being spouted and espoused by so many within our field. I mean, I even saw a fairly prominent hypnotherapist sharing an article about chemtrails in the past couple of weeks. And don't get me all started on those hypnotherapists who share David Avocado Wolf memes that seem so certain of so much conspiracy being used to present his methods and products like the Himalayan salt lamps gaining widespread acceptance. It's no conspiracy, David Avocado Wolf. It's your complete derision of towards science and a lack of evidence for anything you post that creates the critique you receive. Anyhow, I'm a hero of mine, Neil deGrasse Tyson, American astrophysicist and science communicator, said, "One of the big problems with the world today is that we have large groups of people who will accept whatever they hear on the grapevine just because it suits their worldview, not because it is actually true or because they have evidence to support it. The really striking thing is that it would not take much effort to establish validity in most of these cases. But people prefer reassurance to research." And this is so true in the hypnotherapy field. So many hypnotherapists want to be reassured that it's the government or Big Pharma covering up the virtues of hypnotherapy, obscuring them. So many want reassurance that the way they were trained was the best and only way, that many of the myths that they're perpetuating daily are true. And if someone publicly says something that they don't like or something they do like, then they won't question it. They won't seek validation. I recently saw a video of someone, I'm here in the UK, prominent hypnotherapists say that the NHS here in the UK actually want to hamper the success of hypnotherapists with regards to stopping smoking, as stopping smoking costs the government money. Firstly, there's no evidence to support that. Secondly, surely people stopping smoking would actually lessen the burden on our health system. It would keep more people in work, contribute to a healthier, wealthier society, no? Yet here was someone, you know, with a big popular voice and following saying that hypnotherapy was getting repressed by greater forces because it would cost our government money. Is this the sort of conspiracy that serves us well as a field? Mark Twain once said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." I love that. And we're all prone to believing half-truths and forming connections where there are none to be found, or finding importance in political and social events that may not have much significance at all. Just like pop culture tells us that big pharmaceutical companies know all about the simple natural cures for everything. Loads of hypnotherapists adhere to this kind of populist narrative that hypnotherapy is somehow held back, it's covered up, or it's repressed by government agencies and Big Pharma. And should you be unfortunate to contract some mental illness, the best doctors are going to give you some synthetic patented drug that can be sold to you for high profit. And it won't work as well as hypnotherapy would, of course. But you know, if you're thinking such, then you end up being victimized by the Big Pharma conspiracy, which is one of the most popularly believed conspiracy theories in the world, let alone within the hypnotherapy field. The basic Big Pharma conspiracy says that pharmaceutical companies actually suppress natural cures and approaches such as hypnotherapy on the principle that they're not patentable and thus not profitable to sell. So they instead distribute only patented, expensive and less effective drugs, and this allows them to keep profits up. And since the drugs are less effective, it keeps the patients sick enough to require more and more of the expensive products. Most familiar is the claim that a perfect cure for all cancers exists, but Big Pharma is suppressing it because if everyone was cancer-free, it would kill their profitable cancer business. And you know, it's really similar to hypnotherapists openly saying that governments don't really want hypnotherapists to successfully stop many people from smoking, you know. A quick and easy way to hear the Big Pharma type of conspiracy, you know, spoken in detail, is, you know, watch videos and talk with you know, as many hypnotherapists as I do each year at events and online, because so many of them recite the Big Pharma or the government anti-hypnotherapy conspiracy narrative and say stuff that I've been hearing for the past 23 years. You know, doctors see patients as diseases, not as humans. Doctors only treat symptoms, not causes. Doctors' only motivation is to make money or earn kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies by prescribing, you know, the latest drugs, and to keep those patients on those drugs forever. You know, it's not a perfect system, don't get me wrong, you know. One piece of evidence suggesting the Big Pharma conspiracy might not be as successful as its believers claim is that, you know, real conspiracies are discovered and eradicated within the industry all of the time. You know, go and look at them, go and look them up. It's one thing to believe conspiracy theories like all the world's leaders are reptilian aliens, a la David Icke type of stuff, in electronic disguises, or the Air Force does experiments on captured aliens at Area 51 in the US. Because, you know, those type of things don't necessarily affect the lives of intelligent adults in the real world. But the Big Pharma conspiracy and anti-government conspiracy does it. You know, it enables and encourages distrust of the medical profession, and that's bad for public health. It drives people away from some of the good, effective solutions in many cases. The hypnotherapy field should be seeking to work alongside and work with conventional healthcare to help advance what they do, not just pitch themselves as an alternative. So, a conspiracy theory, it's a belief that a small group of people or organisation is working in secret against the common good to create harm, perhaps even in some way, to affect some negative change in society, or to seize power for themselves, or to hide some deadly or consequential secret. An actual conspiracy is when a small group of people is working in secret against the common good. And anyone who tells you that we can always easily distinguish fictitious plots from real ones, you know, probably hasn't read much history. But conspiracy theories tend to flourish, especially at times of rapid social change, when we are re-evaluating ourselves and perhaps, you know, facing uncomfortable questions in the process. And it's not merely that conspiracy theories are thriving, and they thrive in our field, but they're also getting more absurd, less substantive, and they're sometimes harder to refute. Ariana Huffington once said, in a culture fueled by burnout, the culture that has run itself down, our national resilience becomes compromised. And when our collective immune system is weakened, we become more susceptible to viruses that are part of every culture because they're part of human nature. Fear-mongering, scapegoating, conspiracy theories, and demagoguery. And, you know, that sums up corners of the hypnotherapy field. You see, although conspiracy beliefs can occasionally be based on a rational analysis of the evidence, the vast majority of the time they're just not. As a human, one of our greatest strengths is our ability to find meaningful patterns in things around us and to make causal connections. However, we sometimes see patterns and causal connections that are simply not there. especially when we feel that events are beyond our control, or we create patterns. You know, the attractiveness of conspiracy theories may arise from a number of cognitive biases that we all know about and that characterize the way in which we process information. You know, confirmation bias, the most pervasive cognitive bias and a powerful driver of belief in conspiracies. We all have a natural inclination to give more weight to evidence that supports what we already believe, and we then ignore evidence and that contradicts our beliefs. The real world events that often become the subject of conspiracy theories tend to be intrinsically complex and unclear. Proportionality bias, you know, it's another driver of conspiracy. Our innate tendency to assume that big events have big causes may also explain our tendency to accept conspiracies. And it's one reason that some people are uncomfortable with the idea that President John F. Kennedy was the victim of a deranged lone gunman, and found it easier to accept the theory that he was the victim of a large-scale conspiracy. Another relevant cognitive bias is that of projection. You know, people who endorse conspiracy theories may be more likely to engage in conspiratorial behaviors themselves, such as spreading rumors or tending to be suspicious of others' motives. If you would engage in such behavior, it may seem natural that other people would as well, you know, making conspiracies appear more plausible and widespread. Furthermore, you know, people that are strongly inclined towards conspiratorial thinking will be more likely to endorse mutually contradictory theories. You know, none of these things necessarily mean that all conspiracy theories are false, okay? Some may indeed turn out to be true, and you know, Big Pharma is no angel, you know? The point is that some individuals may have a tendency to find such theories attractive. They suit what they do and how they behave. They're not really sure what the true explanation of event is sometimes. They're simply certain that the official story is a cover-up. In the hypnosis and hypnotherapy fields, you know, we are considered alternative by some practitioners, especially those who empathize with the likes of David Avocado Wolf, for example, and plenty of hypnotherapists who believe that the government is holding us back, or that are suggesting that Big Pharma are trying to obscure hypnotherapy as hypnotherapy will eat into their profits and so on. But you know, let's flag down a cab and head for Real Street here. Let's be honest, the continued conspiracy theory behavior and rhetoric by members of our field is actually enough to ensure that we are obscured and not treated seriously, without Big Pharma needing to do a thing. Carry on with your conspiracy theories and you do the very job that Big Pharma and governments are secretly plotting to do, according to you. You know, you guys are damaging stuff much more than Big Pharma or governments. When you see people out there, especially people in our field, there are some simple ways to debunk their conspiracy theories. You know, first of all, show them facts. I cited him earlier. Neil deGrasse Tyson stated, a conspiracy theorist is a person who tacitly admits that they have insufficient data to prove their points. A conspiracy is a battle cry of a person with insufficient data. It's probably the best way to debunk conspiracy theorists. If someone in your professional field, this professional field, or someone in your family or social circle is an ongoing fount of conspiracy theories, it's worthwhile to counter their stories with some truth, you know, which will often be at your fingertips. You know, just fact check what other people just told you, you know, and actually fact check. Don't just look on Wikipedia or YouTube. And this is why we need science and why we need scientific thinking and why we need critical thinking in this field to stop such nonsensical conspiracy theories from propagating and spreading. We need people to ask questions and to seek evidence. So, you know, we use rational strategies in everyday situations, you know. I'm saying to people, well, you know, here are the facts, my friend. The theorist may or may not prove willing to accept reality, but either way, others that are listening or reading or joining in will be able to hear evidence against such a conspiracy. We can initiate discussions. Psychologists, therapists encourage patients to question conspiracy's underpinnings, to follow a train of thought to its natural conclusion. Likewise, in my own trainings, I teach students how to apply Socratic questioning techniques, critical thinking skills, and to equip clients and patients with ways to examine their thoughts and beliefs, and seeking evidence and validity. For example, if your friend or a colleague thinks that there's a vast government conspiracy to keep people smoking and to prevent hypnotherapists from being so successful, then ask a few gentle probing questions. Where are these orders coming from? How is this being implemented? Is there evidence that supports this? How much money do you think the government makes from smokers? How much money would the government make if there were less smoking related illnesses being dealt with by our NHS, for example? So push back. Don't just agree blindly. Studies show that people can be nudged out of their conspiracies, by showing them the facts. There's even a study that says that if you imply that anyone who would think otherwise or against the facts is ridiculous, some social compliance mechanisms there, and it may not always work, but at least other people within earshot or online will also get some solid facts. And you might not always necessarily reduce the number of conspiracy theorists that are in your midst, because they're hard to budge, they're hard to change, but you might stop a few people from forming into conspiracy theorists. And if all else fails, take a deep breath and walk away. Conspiracy theories are an unfortunate part of our daily life, and within this field that they abound. And we can keep seeking and repeating the truth. On some days that might make you feel like a member of the select few. That's what it is for me. And when asking the tough questions or making videos like this, you push back against populist and lazy rhetoric. But you stood up and you thought effectively and you strove for something better. That's it for today. Do subscribe to this channel. Do go visit my college website for more information on my classroom-based and online hypnotherapy courses. There's some fast educational membership areas in there as well. Goodbye for now.